Even though the city was filled with death and injured people as the dungeons were reversed, Evan couldn't help but go for it because the floating population of the city would make it riskier for him in the future to reach the Silent Night. When Mabel was worried about him purchasing a slave, Evan explained that the country runs the slave markets, and even though the complaints made by the slaves disappeared, some loopholes still exist and people continue to abuse them. When a revolt between both parties started, a beautiful but cruel girl was in the revolt, going against the whole country, spilling blood whenever and wherever she wanted, which ended up getting her the name of Blood Witch. Evan continues to wonder where she might be, considering the fact that she might be his age currently. When he reaches the place to reach the Silent Night, Evan meets the escort knight of the Sheeton March Dane, who is impressed by the change in the young master. When the showcase of the kids started, Evan recognized the faces of the Silent Night and the Blood Witch among them. Even though they are looking weak in their current form, for their demigod blood, they will revolve twice as fast in the dungeon, making up all for it. Evan feels like he has won the lottery and ends up bringing them both home with him without even explaining anything to the manager. Evan didn't stop there just by bringing the two of them with him. He also explained to the manager about some children who have certain distinct features and told him to inform him after finding them to get more demigod prospects. Evan begins the conversation with them by asking for their names, and it was revealed that the Blood Witch was called Belua, while the Silent Night was called Shine. When the introduction ends between them, the conversation hits a different level when Shine asks about his reason to buy defective slaves like them. When Shine and Belua was too distressed about their health condition, Evan handles the situation like a genius by saying that they have the talent to grow stronger, while he himself has the talent to recognize their geniuses. Evan asked for 3 years from them to make him prove his point, and in that time, they will have to listen to him as much as possible. But if he fails to do so, they were welcome to leave him on their own accord, while making a promise that no one will ever be able to disrespect them ever again. The only obstacle for him to go forward was to wait for their answers, as they are the only ones who can make their identity true. Shine and Belua both entrusted their lives to Evan, as he gave them the hopes of guaranteeing that in 3 years, they would be thanking their parents for giving birth to them. The whole chemistry between them formed so mesmerizingly that none of them could hold their tears in front of Evan, and even Mabel herself started spilling tears. His knight Sir Dane asks Evan about his intentions about Shine and Belua, which he explains as simply as possible by saying that they will be his own servants, only to follow him later when he prepares for the dungeons. Dan praised Evan for his persuasion skills considering his age, and he believed that those two would never betray him in their whole life. But even he was concerned about him lying to them, and he adds up by saying that he truly didn't, as he truly believed that they would get strong in the future. When they prepare and arrive after getting cleaned by the maids, Shine is only interested in listening to Evan, as he has asked for something from them. The only wish that Evan has from them is to get protected by them, which kind of shocked them at first, as they are kids, and considering the fact that he is the second son of Marquis who has enough protection. It was revealed that Shine was heavily curious compared to Belua, as he continued to ask Evan questions about their mission, and even about the slimes he was squishing in the palm of his hand. They could both feel that there was some sense of danger waiting for them, which was making Evan do what he's doing currently. When Evan finishes speaking of what he wants to prove himself trustworthy, he allows them to make their wish come true, which ends up getting them flabbergasted. Evan was ready to give them anything, starting from endless treasures to freedom, whichever they felt like asking for. He was ready for it. Nobody knew what was going to happen the next moment, as Evan stood there excited to know about their wishes. When Evan gives Shine and Belua the chance to reveal their wishes, Shine expresses his undying desire to eradicate all the monsters residing inside the dungeons, as they are the ones who brutally killed his parents. Evan soon realizes that the hatred against the monsters was instilled in him when he was quite young, and he continues to burn up with hatred toward all the monsters while he lives. It was quite an opportunity for Evan himself, as he solely focused on saving himself from danger, while gathering up strong warriors beside him to protect him from everything. When the conversation regarding dungeons comes up all of a sudden, Shine gets scared in an instant because of his current weak state, but Evan takes responsibility for his life, so he doesn't have to die in the dungeons. It leads to Shine offering up everything to Evan, as eradicating the monsters is the only goal that he has in life after losing his whole family. But it was quite different for Belua, since in the Demon War, she was quite different because of her interaction with the other humans. She didn't seem to care much about the monsters or the demon race, as she only focused on hampering the life of humans while blocking the view of the players, so they become vulnerable in the position making. Evan couldn't help but wonder how and why someone so innocent and cute as she changed so drastically, but in this reality, the only wish she has is not to be cold or hungry, while wishing only to be stronger. Because of her lack of experience, Evan promises to spend time with her and follow up with her, as they will continue to learn everything one at a time. When the basic interaction between them clears up, Evan thinks of the only thing that can improve the quality of demi-humans, which is skills and mastering them. Just like the Shurden Knights, Shine and Belua will learn each skill at a time, which will eventually increase their physical capabilities permanently. The repetition and the potential of the Shurden family would be wielding a great vision for their future, as Evan's family is considered the most outstanding of all of them. Even though they are about to get the greatest help possible, Shine and Belua will have to pull them through everything to reach the highest of their potential, which they will have to promise to do so. When they both agree to the proposition made by Evan, he calls in the head maid, who is certainly annoyed for getting called all of a sudden, and when the normal request made by him doesn't work, he decides to use his outlook to his advantage to keep the situation in his favor. Then as a head maid, she decides to take care of Belua, while Shine gets under the guidance of the head butler to get better at the household skills. But the thing is, the nature of the head butler is so distinct that even Evan himself has a hard time keeping up with him, knowing that his outlook will not work for him. The hardcore training given by the head butler makes Shine remember his worst days when he was trying his best to keep himself alive from the monsters with the other children and helpless people. He remembers the promise that he made before starting out and regains his senses after being shouted at by the gorilla head butler. Shine continues to have a hard time keeping up with the training schedule given to him, but it was quite efficiently reflecting his talent in every way, as it was making Evan prouder of him. When the butler makes up his mind to get into serious business, the reason is that he has quite some healing artifacts, and Evan gets called into the chamber of his father. The Marquis was able to notice his son's recent change for quite some days, as it felt like he had grown up into someone so mature above his age. When he learns that Evan was focusing so much on experimenting on the necklace, he adds that the necklace is a growth-type artifact that has an existence level that living beings have, as it can add new abilities to its user. Also, when the glow was noticeable in the necklace, it indicated that it was really close to upgrading, which was quite similar to the vision that he was able to notice in the game. But getting all leveled up slimes was still a risky thing to face. However, he was more confident than before, so it wasn't going to create much of an issue. Then, when it came to the matter of Shine and Belua, what Evan had to say to his father felt quite interesting, as he was ready to take all the responsibility for his own people for the betterment of his own. When the period of 3 months finally ends, Shine and Belua are already on par with the other maids and butlers in the mansion. Evan could predict from the beginning that not going to the dungeon might slow their progress, and it could even take more than 3 years, but when it all just ended in a total of 3 months, he was quite impressed to see that. Also, they are now allowed to spend more time guarding Evan while spending only half a day with the household workers in the mansion, and Evan commands the head butler to bring out some special items for Shine and Belua. Shine was given the twin daggers, while Belua was given a lamp, since he knew what suited them from the beginning of their recruitment, as he played the game thoroughly. However, the weapons that were given to them were nothing ordinary, but artifacts that were stored inside the mansion's storeroom. Then Evan begins the training of Shine with the twin daggers to grasp the basics for one stance a day, while Belua is struggling to manage her flame skills on her own, even with the artifact that was given to her. Even Belua herself gets concerned by failing to act according to the command made by Evan, while Shine is improving himself every day bit by bit. One day, when Belua is sitting alone distressed with the antique artifact, the mother of Evan witnesses her and starts questioning her about it, as she didn't expect something so antique to get taken out of the storeroom. After realizing what is truly going on, she begins the secret witch training of Belua, so she can get better at the basics of controlling mana. The results that came out of the second phase of training were going great, as Shine and Belua were continuously improving their skills and strength by training with the equipment they were given. At the same time, Evan reached the level of handling 2 slimes with both hands at a time, as he is now able to gain twice the XP at once. He knows that growing consistently will give him the upper hand against Mabel when she stabs him with the kitchen knife, while he begins his immortality project number 3. When Evan begins his new plan to form his stability in the new world, he fixes his eyes upon myriad poison immunity, which would help to grow his poison tolerance, which will eventually help him to get rid of the chances of dying from poison. But there was still another problem to be looked upon, as a certain poison was needed as a requirement, which meant he would require a great amount of money, as he wouldn't be able to use the family money without the agreement made by the head butler. He decides to open a business with the help of Mabel as his brother Eric D. Sheridan gets called into a meeting since Evan agrees to help him with the aptitude test that gets assigned to the leaders, even though his brother was feeling like it would be quite early for him to do something like that. The conclusion that he noted down all around the map was outstanding, as he is quite knowledgeable about all items and materials. As Eric is more than satisfied with the explanation made by his brother, he is there and then takes Evan to his father, who then successfully makes a guess for his whole plan from the start. Neither his father nor his brother was sure if they were talking to the same Evan who used to pull pranks on everyone. He noticed but decided to grow his business while leaving the medicinal part to Evan, as he asked for which would soon change the future of the family. Even the vassals that were called by his father were surprised to see the credibility of Evan, which blew out of proportion quite suddenly, and when they hesitated to leave the medicinal business for him, the explanation made by Evan was enough to convince all of them, as people will be able to heal themselves at any time with the help of medicine. Evan's father wants to follow through with a plan made by Evan with his name on the line, and for the sake of the citizens, he is happily prepared to negotiate with the emperor. But even behind all of this, Evan is mainly focused on bringing every poison and medicinal herb in the world to train with his poison tolerance for his own sake.